right. So we're still talking about ratios, okay? But with the ratios, we're going to take it kind of another step further, and we're going to talk about equivalent ratios. All right, this word equivalent. Okay, I want everybody on your own. You don't have to unmute unless you just want to. All right, I want you to say equivalent, and we can see some of y'all say equivalent.
Equivalent.
Good. Equivalent. All right. So today's objective is to create equivalent ratios. All right. But before we do that, we got to figure out what does this word equivalent mean. It kind of looks like, I see EQU, which kind of looks like the word equal. Okay? Because equivalent means equal. E-Q-U-A-L. Equal. So in that blank, you're going to type the word equal. If you can't see this, what I wrote in red, check the chat box. We put it in the chat box. All right, so equivalent means equal or the same, right? Kind of like if you saw an equal sign. All right, so to find equivalent ratios, you list the multiples. You list the multiples, M-U-L-T-I-P-L-E-S. Check the chat box if you can't see it. All right, and you've seen multiples before. Maybe you've heard of the word, okay? You've heard if you go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, right? Those are the multiples of 2. In the chat box, tell me what would be the multiples of 10? See if you can type the multiples of 10 in the chat box.
All right, Kyla, since yours is not there,
10,
then
20,
I want you
30,
to just
40, 50.
take notes on a piece of paper or open up a document. Dante, we're just asking for the multiples of 10, bud.
Good. So multiples, it's just the same thing as skip counting. All right, and we'll stop here for a second and let y'all catch up. So in the second blank, we're going to type skip counting. All right. So multiples is just skip counting. So we skip counted by tens. We did 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. All right. When we skip count by twos, we did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right. So far so good. So equivalent means equal. That's the biggest thing we're going to learn. The new vocabulary word for today. Equivalent means equal. All right. What questions do we have so far? Or are you ready to go? Y'all ready? We awake?
Yes. No.
Good to go. All right. Okay. So before we go forward, if you came up to the school and you got your parents or guardian did, and you got a little folder. If you didn't, then just ignore what I'm about to say. Don't worry about it. If you got a folder though, y'all remember we got these folders? And there was stuff in it good. I see some of y'all are picking them up.
See it, JJ.
Good. Yep. All right. Inside the folder, there was a sheet protector with like some math papers. Like I think there's like a graph on it or fractions on it. In there was a multiplication chart. It looks just like this. We'll get close to both cameras. All right. You might have to take some of the papers out to see it, but we're gonna. If you have it, go ahead and take that multiplication chart out. Okay. If you don't have a multiplication chart, you didn't get the folder, or you can't find it, don't worry about it. All right? We're going to post a multiplication chart online. We'll do it around lunchtime. Yeah, I see some of y'all. Good, thanks.
Awesome.
good. Yeah, you're gonna want to keep this folder nearby your right by your computer. All right. If you can't find it again, that's okay. All right.
If you look at the 10, you can see that those are the multiples of 10. Because y'all just told us in the chat box the multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So there's the multiples right there. So multiples is just like multiplication. So that's why we gave you guys this, because this is going to be helpful for today's lesson, or for this week, really.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome. I see
Y'all are
'em.
so good. All right, let's move. Oh, wrong button. Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm sorry for interrupting. This is Tajon Anderson's mom.
Yes, ma'am.
When I got him registered, they didn't give me no quote or anything for him.
Okay, that's fine. We're just using this one. We're probably going to be back before we use anything else. So if he can pull up online a multiplication chart, I'll type it in the chat box.
Okay.
And if he pulls that up, then it's the same thing as this right here.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll be posting one on Schoology too. So like, if you can't need one later.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. So our first problem. It should be the first problem. It's actually like the background is green. The box is green on yours. So we wrote in green. We try to match y'all. Okay? It says the ratio of cats to dogs is 1 to 2. Find 4 equivalent ratios. Alright? So we went ahead and we saw the ratio 1 to 2 with the word 2. And we rewrote it in colon form. Alright? Is this 1, does that represent cats or dogs? It says the ratio of cats to dogs is 1 to 5. So would this 1 be cats or dogs?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, cats. Yay. All right, so is this 5 cats or dogs? We should get that one. Good.
Good. Awesome.
Good. So we're going to make sure we label them each time.
So that way, if we label them, we will always remember this side represents cats and this side represents dogs. Okay? If you can't label it in the document, you could, or if you don't have room, you can just put C and D.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have it labeled. Let's see what the question's asking. It says find 4 equivalent ratios. And we already said that the word equivalent means equal. So we need to find 4 equal ratios. Okay? So this is where skip counting comes in. Okay, so we have 2 numbers right here. We have 1 and then we have 5. Right now we're going to look at just the 1. We're going to look at just the cats. Okay, and it's saying we need 4 equivalent ratios. So we have 1, so we need 4. I wrote a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we're skip counting by 1, what would come next? If we're skip counting by 1, what comes after 1? I see 1 person in
Only
both
1,
classes.
yeah.
If we're skip counting by 1, what comes next? 1, then
There we go. Now the answers are coming.
there it goes. 2, yeah.
2.
So 1, then 2. I'm gonna go ahead and draw my colons. What comes next? We have 1, then we have 2, then we have 3.
Good. Then what?
Then what? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
And what's last? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
Now, I say what's last class, but could we keep going? Yeah, we know how to count, right?
Right.
So we could keep going, but I stopped there because it's asking for 4 equivalent ratios. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to stop there because we are only trying to find 4. Okay? Now, are we done?
That's not a complete ratio, is it?
No, look, we're missing something. We did our cats, but now we need to do the dogs. Okay? So we're going to skip count by 5. So we have 5. What comes next when we skip count by 5? 5, then Kentavious, come on. 5, then 10. Stay in order. Don't get ahead, please. So we have 5, then 10, and then we have what? 15.
Good.
Y'all are getting ahead. Y'all wait just a second, okay? 15. Then we have 20. I heard someone say it. Good.
Yeah.
20. And then we have, what's last? 25.
Good.
And now I'm going to stop there, but we could keep going with multiples of 20 if we, or I mean of 5, excuse me, with 5 if we want to. But we're going to stop there because it's asking for 4 equivalent ratios. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are all equal to 1 to 5. And that's all for that problem.
That's it.
So is that pretty easy? Tell me yes or no in the chat box. Yeah, it
Not too
is,
bad.
right?
It's especially helpful when you have the multiplication chart, which we don't mind you using.
Yep.
Okay. The key is make sure your cats, whatever you skip count with your cats, you stay the same. And whatever you start with your skip count for your dogs, it stays the same. Okay?
I don't have to write it inside my Google Docs.
You can enter it in and go to the next line.
Like you can make the box where it's green, you can make that bigger.
So you can go right here behind the 5 and click enter, and it should take you down to the next line. You don't have a box. Yours should look like, where's that paper?
Is that it? Naturally.
Hold on, we have a printed piece out. Here it is. Yours should look like this. You see the big box that I'm talking about right here?
Okay, so Memphis, was Pat just about to show you. So in this right here, that's where we are. You can enter it down, so you can make this box bigger when you hit enter,
And you can put them all in a row like that.
like underneath it.
Okay, got it. All right.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Jace, you don't have it.
You said in the chat box at the beginning that you had it open. Okay, Jace, if you don't have it, then you can get out a piece of paper and you can just write these down. Okay?
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and do number 2.
All right, the ratio of apples to bananas is 10 to 3. All right, so we went and wrote it from 2 form to colon form. So what does this 10 represent? Is it apples or bananas? What does the 10 represent? Apples or bananas? Good, apples, because apples comes first in the problem, so the first number goes with the first word. So that means the 3 has to be bananas. All right, and you'll notice how Miss Patrick just put an A and a B. A for apples and B for bananas. Is that okay that she did that? Absolutely, okay? You don't have to write the whole word out. We did for the first one, but you can write A and B or whatever the first letter is, okay? All right, so then the question says find 5 equivalent ratios. So we have to find 5 equivalent. So we like to go ahead and number 5, make 5 spots. So that way we don't do more than we have to and we don't do less than we have to. We make sure we get exactly how many we need. All right? So we're going to skip count for our apples first. Or really, yeah, we'll do apples first. Okay, so if I'm going to skip count by 10, what would come first? 10, then what? What would be the first next multiple?
Just put the next one. Don't
Just
go
the next
ahead.
one.
So we're skip counting by 10. We would have 10, then
20. Good, I'm seeing it. Not very much participation, but I'm seeing it. All right, we could go ahead and do the bananas. What would come next? If I count by 3, then be 3.
good. Oh, someone's not paying attention. They did the next 10.
We're just going to do them together. Good, 6. All right, so then if I 10, 20, what would come next? 10, 20, then 30. Good. All right, 3, 6. What would come next?
Good.
Wow, great job. All right. So for our next one, we have 10, 20, 30, then
Good job.
killing it. All right. Then we have 3, 6, 9.
Yes, good.
Yeah. All right. 10, 20, 30, 40.
Good. Y'all are good jumping
Yeah.
between the two multiples.
Then we have 3, 6, 9, 12.
Ooh.
Almost, I see, yep. 15.
Got
And if you
one
notice, it helps me to start back at the beginning because then you can hear the pattern, right? So instead of just starting at 50 and figuring out, I like to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, then. There we go. I love when I look and it's boom, answers. Okay? And then 3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
Good job.
Yep,
Yeah.
18. All right. So now we have our 5 equivalent ratios. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far, so
Notice how
good.
we're not counting this as an equivalent ratio. We're doing, we have this one, but we're doing 5 more. Okay? So make sure that you don't stop when you have 5 total. You've got to do 5 more. That's why we did them in different color. So you can see that we have 5 in blue. Okay?
Yep. That is pretty easy.
Okay, so right now it's time to get off. But before we get off, if you look on your paper, you have 2 more problems. Okay? We were planning on doing this third one together, but we kind of ran out of time. But looking at you guys in the chat box, I think that you're doing okay with it. So we think you probably should be able to do these last 2 on your own. Now, if you have your multiplication chart, you can do it, you can use this for help, okay? So use that to answer the last 2. Now, we also want to talk about submitting your work, okay? If you finish any assignment in either of our classes, you need to make sure that you go back and submit all of the work. If you don't submit it, then we don't know that you're done, okay? And if we don't know that you're done, we can't give you a grade for it. So if you finished any work that we've done, any notes, the all about me or anything that we've done and you haven't submitted it, go back and submit it. If you're not sure, go back and check, okay?
There are a lot of kids in both of our classes that we know we've seen you on here, you've been doing the notes especially, and yet we don't have your assignment, okay? It hasn't been submitted. So that means that like once you're done, you're just logging out. You're not clicking that submit. We can't give you a grade for it. So when we do start, we put it in the grade book. It'll be a 0. For those of you that didn't have it, that you wrote on paper, we've talked to you. So
Okay, so I had someone ask, we have to do 5 on each. Look at the question and it tells you how many to do. So it says the ratio of pens to pencil is 4 to 2. Find 3 equivalent ratios. So for the fourth one, you'd only have to do 3 equivalent ratios. And then I want you to read the last one and figure out how many equivalent ratios you have to do for the last one. Okay? All right, so we have to go because we have to go to our next class. So make sure that you submit when you're done. You can get off now. Bye, guys.
Great job today.